December 15th, 2025. Right now, Ilia Topuria, the undefeated UFC lightweight champion, a rare double champ, the man who brutally knocked out Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira, has finally broken his silence. For months, personal issues kept him out of the octagon. Today, he addressed them for the first time. And what's coming out is ugly. Really ugly. Asterisk domestic abuse allegations, extortion claims, divorce drama, custody battles, financial threats, active legal proceedings.
As I've communicated, I'm going through some personal problems. I do not have an exact date when everything will be fixed.
This is the kind of story that can either end a career or completely vindicate a champion, depending on what the courts decide. So let me walk you through exactly what happened, because this didn't explode overnight. This story has been building for months, and today it all came pouring out in a lengthy Instagram statement that's already sending shockwaves through the MMA world. Let's start at the beginning. June 28, 2025. UFC 317. Ilia Topuria knocks out Charles Oliveira in the first round to become the UFC lightweight champion. His wife, Georgina Ascati Bedell, is in the octagon celebrating with him, holding their baby daughter. Topuria is on top of the world, undefeated, a double champion, pound for pound #1. Everything looks perfect. Fast forward to October 2025, and something changes. Georgina unfollows Topuria on Instagram, deletes every photo with him, and removes all references to him from her social media. In 2025, that's basically the official announcement that a relationship is over. Rumors explode. Separation, divorce, and not a quiet one. There's money involved. Custody of their 2 children. Real money. Topuria is making millions now. He reportedly earned $3.5 million at UFC 317 and has become one of the biggest stars in the sport. A divorce at that level isn't simple. We're talking asset division, child support, potential alimony, custody arrangements, everything. Then things escalate. Topuria is photographed with a new woman, Kita Rostomashi, a Georgian entrepreneur and co-founder of a beauty studio in Tbilisi. And from that moment on, the situation goes from private to explosive. By now, it's clear the marriage is over. Topuria has moved on. Then, on November 27, 2025, Topuria makes a shocking announcement. He's taking a hiatus from fighting and will not compete in the first quarter of 2026. He cites a difficult moment in my personal life. No details, no explanations, just that he needs time to deal with family issues. He also asks the UFC to create an interim lightweight title in his absence. He says he doesn't want to hold up the division. The UFC responds quickly. Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett is booked for the interim lightweight championship at UFC 324 on January 24, 2026. The winner is expected to face Topuria later in the year, once he's ready to return. For weeks, speculation runs wild. What's really going on with Topuria? Why step away now? He's in his prime. He's undefeated. He just became champion. Why walk away at this moment? Most people assume it's the divorce, custody battle, maybe depression, maybe the pressure of dealing with a public breakup while being one of the most famous athletes in the world. But no one knew the full story until today. December 15, 2025. This morning, Topuria posts a lengthy statement on Instagram and drops a bombshell. He reveals that he's been accused of domestic abuse. He flatly denies the allegations, calling them completely false, and claims they're part of an extortion scheme designed to force him into paying money to make the accusations disappear. This is serious. A reigning UFC champion publicly denying domestic violence allegations while claiming he's being extorted. Let me read you some of the key parts of his statement because this matters. Topuria writes, "Over the past several weeks, I have made the difficult decision to temporarily step away from defending my title. This was not a decision I took lightly. However, when circumstances arise that threaten your personal integrity, your family, and your reputation, there comes a point when you must address them directly. In recent months, I have been *******. He says he was subjected to severe and unacceptable pressure, including threats to make false domestic abuse allegations public unless financial demands were met. According to Topuria, these allegations are completely unfounded. Right there, Topuria is making a major claim. He's saying he was threatened, that someone, allegedly his ex-wife or individuals acting on her behalf, told him to pay money or face public domestic abuse accusations. If true, that would constitute extortion, a serious crime. He continues by saying this: the truth is not a matter of opinion, it is a matter of evidence. Topuria claims that all relevant evidence has been carefully preserved and documented, including audio recordings, written communications, text messages, witness statements, and video material. In other words, he's saying he has proof. Proof that the allegations are false. Proof that threats were made. Proof that this dispute is about money, not abuse. Topuria states that this evidence has already been submitted to the appropriate judicial authorities. He says he is pursuing legal action for attempted extortion, falsification of evidence, misappropriation of funds and personal property, and multiple threats. So this isn't just a denial. He's going on the offensive. He's accusing the other side of serious criminal behavior: attempted extortion, fabrication of evidence, theft, and repeated threats. Topuria then explains why he stayed silent for so long. He says his initial decision to remain quiet was made solely to protect his children, who he describes as the most important part of his life. He didn't want this situation to turn into a public spectacle. But he says he eventually realized that silence, under these circumstances, doesn't protect the truth. It allows false narratives to take hold. Rumors spread. Assumptions grow. This part stands out because many people accused of serious wrongdoing immediately go public, deny everything, and attack back. Topuria says he tried the opposite: privacy first, for the sake of his kids. But once he saw that staying quiet was making things worse, he decided to speak. He adds that many people have faced similar situations, and time and again, the legal system has ultimately clarified the facts. And with that, he says he is stepping forward. He says he's stepping forward not just for himself and his family, but to send a message that no one should ever be forced to surrender to intimidation, manipulation, or fear. Topuria is framing this as a refusal to be bullied, a refusal to be extorted, a refusal to pay money to make false allegations disappear. And if his version of events is accurate, that stance is significant. Many wealthy and famous people choose the opposite path. They settle quietly, pay to avoid scandal, and move on, even if they believe they're innocent. Topuria is saying no. He's taking it to court and letting the legal system decide. He goes on to say that those who truly know him can attest that he has never engaged in violence of any kind, and that his life and career have always been guided by discipline, respect, and integrity. He says he has full confidence in the judicial process and will allow the facts to be determined by evidence, not opinion. He ends his statement by saying, "Out of respect for my children and the ongoing legal proceedings, I will not be making any further public statements. I respectfully ask that speculation be avoided and that my family's privacy be honored during this sensitive time. The truth does not require volume. It requires facts." That's Topuria's side of the story. According to him, he was threatened with false domestic abuse allegations unless he paid money. He refused. He gathered evidence. He submitted it to the authorities. He is now pursuing criminal charges and stepping away from fighting to deal with the legal battle. But here's where this becomes complicated. We do not have the other side. Georgina Ascati-Bedell, Topuria's ex-wife, has not made a public statement. We don't know what her claims are. We don't know what evidence she may or may not have. We don't even know whether any formal accusation has been filed, or if everything happened behind the scenes. All we have at this point is Topuria's statement, a statement in which he denies the allegations, claims he has evidence, and alleges extortion. And that's why this situation is so sensitive. In 2025, domestic abuse allegations are taken extremely seriously, as they should be. But they also carry enormous consequences and, in some cases, become weapons in high-stakes divorce and custody disputes, *** in divorce and custody proceedings. Allegations can sometimes be used as leverage to gain custody, to secure more money, or to destroy someone's reputation. So what's the truth here? Is Topuria telling the truth? Is he innocent of domestic abuse and being extorted by his ex-wife? Or is he lying, trying to get ahead of the story and paint himself as the victim when he's actually the abuser? We don't know. And we won't know until the legal process runs its course. Until evidence is presented. Until courts issue rulings. Until facts, not narratives, are established. What we do know is this: Ilia Topuria, one of the biggest stars in the UFC and the reigning lightweight champion, is stepping away from fighting indefinitely to deal with serious legal issues involving his ex-wife, domestic abuse allegations, and extortion claims. And this situation could go in multiple directions. Best case scenario for Topuria: the courts rule in his favor. The allegations are found to be false. The extortion claims are validated. His name is cleared. He returns to the UFC, faces the winner of Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, defends his title, and continues his undefeated run. Life moves on. Worst case scenario: the allegations are proven true, or at least credible enough that the UFC can't ignore them. Topuria's reputation collapses. He's stripped of the title, possibly released from the promotion, and his career effectively ends. He becomes another cautionary tale of a fighter whose personal life destroyed his professional future. The most likely scenario sits somewhere in the middle. The legal process drags on for months, maybe years. Neither side is fully vindicated. Evidence exists on both sides. The situation remains messy, complicated, and unresolved. The UFC allows Topuria to keep the belt for now, but he doesn't fight for a long time. Whether he ever truly comes back depends on public opinion, legal outcomes, and how this case ultimately unfolds. And that's the problem with cases like this. There's rarely a clean ending. More often than not, it's just messy, ugly, and damaging for everyone involved. Now, let's look at how the MMA world is reacting. The statement came out just hours ago, and the reaction started immediately. Max Holloway, the former featherweight champion and BMF title holder, the same man Topuria knocked out at UFC 308, publicly showed his support. Max wrote, "Sorry to hear this, champ. If it's what I'm hearing, it is. I know the struggle firsthand, trying to fight while protecting your kids. Hope all goes well." That message carries weight. Max Holloway knows exactly what this feels like. He went through a brutal 5-year custody battle with his ex-wife over their son, Rush, from 2017 to 2025. He finally won custody in August 2025. So when Topuria talks about family issues and protecting his children, Max understands on a personal level. What makes this notable is that Max and Topuria aren't friends. Topuria knocked him out and ended his title run. But Max is setting rivalry aside and showing empathy, because custody battles and divorce drama go beyond sports. This isn't about wins and losses. It's about being a parent and trying to protect your kids in impossible situations. Sean O'Malley also commented weeks earlier when Topuria first announced his hiatus, saying that divorces become especially messy when children are involved. At the time, his reaction was sympathetic. Whether he speaks again now that more details are public remains to be seen. As for the wider MMA community, the response has been mixed. Some fighters and fans are supporting Topuria outright. They say false allegations do happen, that men are sometimes extorted during high-stakes divorces, and that Topuria deserves the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Others are far more skeptical. They argue that abuse victims are often silenced, that alleged abusers almost always deny wrongdoing, and that Topuria's wealth, fame, and legal team give him a significant advantage in shaping the narrative. And then there's a third group, the ones choosing not to take sides at all. They're saying, let the evidence speak. Let the courts do their job. Don't rush to judgment. And honestly, that may be the most reasonable position right now. Because the truth is, we don't know. We don't know what actually happened. All we have at this moment is Topuria's version of events. ***. We still don't have Georgina's side of the story. We don't have court documents. We haven't seen the evidence. What we have right now is one side of an extremely complicated situation. But here's what makes this case different from many other domestic abuse controversies in MMA. Topuria isn't just denying the allegations, he's actively fighting back. He says he's filing criminal charges. He claims to have audio recordings, text messages, witness statements, and video evidence showing that he was being extorted and that the allegations were fabricated. If that evidence exists, and if it's as strong as Topuria claims, this could ultimately vindicate him. Courts could rule in his favor. Extortion charges could stick, and Topuria could come out of this with his reputation largely intact. But the opposite is also true. If that evidence doesn't exist, or if it's weaker than he claims, or if there's counter-evidence showing actual abuse, then this statement could backfire in a massive way. He's gone on the record. He's made specific accusations. He's accused his ex-wife of serious crimes. If he's lying, the consequences will be devastating. That's why the stakes here are enormous. For Topuria, for Georgina, for their children, for the UFC, and for everyone involved. As of now, the UFC hasn't issued a statement. That's not surprising. Historically, the promotion tends to let legal processes play out before taking action. Unless there's a criminal conviction or overwhelming evidence, the UFC usually avoids punishing fighters based solely on allegations. But this isn't just any fighter. This is the reigning UFC lightweight champion, one of the biggest stars in the sport, undefeated, fresh off knockouts of 3 legends. The UFC has a lot invested in Ilia Topuria. They don't want to lose him,